I believe that Enjin is a must-have in my portfolio, and I just don't only think that way because I could very well see it going to the price of $10 during this floor and hypothetically. However, another reason is because I do love its fundamentals. I believe that blockchain gaming is on the rise, and I think this could very well be such a massive player in the space, even though nothing I say is financial advice. However, here's the thing. If you take a look at Enjin, it does have a very basic concept in a sense, but it's focused on the right things, again, the blockchain gaming market, and it's a very simple and easy to understand project. Keep in mind, Enjin gives developers and creators the ability to launch top-tier Web3 games and applications. So yeah, that's very simple to understand. And keep in mind, why is blockchain gaming on the rise? It's because not only is the sentiment very positive, not only is this, I think, something that's going to be a big narrative, but also on top of that, there's some data that shows how this could very well be the case. For instance, according to Grandview Research, the blockchain gaming market is predicted to be worth over $300 billion by 2030. I get it. We're still in 2025. That's still ways away, but sometimes people do care about the narrative. People usually care about what a project could be, and in the current space that we are in as of right now, they don't necessarily care about current adoption. They usually care about anticipated adoption, and this market, again, not only is it on the rise, but it has great future, at least predicted adoption. So this is very amazing. Now, it's not like Enjin is completely useless either because it has been involved with some pretty good games. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's the most popular, the most interesting, or the most well-known, no. But it's pretty good because, for instance, Enjin has already been involved with gaming projects such as Lost Relics, The Six Dragons, Nine Lives Arena, and of course many others, but I'm just highlighting these ones. Again, they're not necessarily the best, but it's pretty good nonetheless, and considering how kind of early we are when it comes to blockchain gaming, I think this is very impressive. Not to mention as well, Enjin has already been involved with something called Azure Heroes, which is Microsoft's, and yeah, you heard that right, I'm talking about Microsoft, hashtag Bill Gates, but even besides that, this is Microsoft's blockchain-based digital badge rewards program. So you got to think about that. Even though this isn't really talked about, even though this isn't like the most massive thing of all time, the fact that quite essentially Enjin has somewhat an association with Microsoft, this is insane in my opinion. I mean, Microsoft is so massive, and this is so just almost unbelievable, but it is true. So when I take a look at this, I think this really does give a lot of validity as to just how amazing Enjin is. Contrary to popular belief, because sometimes people think that it's kind of bad, but I disagree with that. Now, for instance, there's also something called the Enjin blockchain, which some people may think it was a waste of resources, and many people, by the way, arguably attributed this to as to the reason why Enjin, not too long ago, it was announced that they got delisted from Coinbase. Now, people may kind of think this was a bad idea because that did happen hypothetically as a result of that. Allegedly, many people are accusing that because if you take a look at Gala, when it became Gala V2, that right there also got delisted from Coinbase. And Coinbase, they have a history of doing this. And some people may think, okay, is it worth it to ultimately, have their own blockchain and then have this happen? Now, I'm not saying that this is the reason why, but many people argue this. And I'm just going to respond to the people who may think this way. In my opinion, sure, it may be bad in the short term, but Enjin, it's listed in a bunch of other major exchanges anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Not to mention, when it comes to the Enjin blockchain, this is going to be good for the long term. So in my opinion, it's a win-win situation at the end of the day. I guess it's not the most ideal situation, but it's good for the long term. Bad for the short term and the retail hype in a sense, but people pretty much, they forgot about it, but I'm still going to talk about it anyways because, of course, this is a video about Enjin. But even besides that point, the Enjin blockchain is actually very impressive in its own right. It can currently facilitate over 5,000 transactions per second. It's able to process upwards of 2,000 mints per transaction. So it's pretty good, or should I say very good. Not to mention, it has an average transaction cost, I should say, right? Average transaction cost that is less than a penny. So yeah, it's very fast, very amazing, very cost effective as well. Some people may argue that, oh yeah, these big enterprises, they don't care about saving costs. Who cares? Well, they do. Think about why they're at the top anyways. These large-scale enterprises, it's probably because they made very good economical decisions and they didn't spend their money unwisely, if that makes sense. However, even besides that point, Enjin is not only focused on just gaming, of course, NFTs, the metaverse, and this right here, I think, are two markets that have pretty good potential. Take a look at the NFT market. Yet again, according to Grandview Research, predicted to be worth over $200 billion by 2030, while the metaverse is predicted by McKinsey, which is very reputable, to hypothetically reach up to $5 trillion in value by 2030. So these are insane markets. Enjin isn't necessarily going to be number one, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, when a market is that massive, being pretty much like even top 50, I think would be already very impressive. However, even besides that point, when people often think about Enjin, they think about blockchain gaming. So I think Enjin does have the right narrative. And Enjin is this simple to easy to understand project that doesn't take ages to understand. Other projects out there, they have these random features and whatnot. And quite simply put, they're just pretty much the same as many of their competitors, but they try to overcomplicate things for no reason, which I think is completely unnecessary. When you take a look at something like Enjin, it's simple and easy to understand again. I personally believe that it pretty much just takes 5 to 10 minutes to understand just how amazing this is. Really, I mean, 5 minutes for a brief one, 10 minutes for probably a more detailed approach, but really either way you take a look at it, it doesn't take ages to understand what it is. I could literally just search up about Enjin in 10 minutes, I'll pretty much know all about it. So I think it's a project that really is set in the right area, so to speak. Again, it's focused on the right places. I also think that it's very simple and easy to understand. So when I take a look at something like this, $10, I really don't see why not. Keep in mind, if it were to go to the price of $10, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $18 billion. That's not even 50% of Shiba Inu's all-time high market cap. Keep in mind, Dogecoin reached over 80 billion one point. And this isn't too bad again. Now, this is around a 54x from here, which is absolutely amazing, by the way, hypothetically. And I don't see why it wouldn't reach this. Take a look at, even according to Charles Hoskinson, based on a video that he was a part of back in November of 2024, he did predict that in the next 1 to 2 years, he could very well see Bitcoin reaching anywhere between $250,000 all the way up to $500,000. If we assume his worst case scenario price target and best case scenario timeline, hypothetically, that means Bitcoin in this make-believe scenario reaches $250,000 in November this year in 2025. If let's say that were to happen, $10 for Enjin may seem a little bit bearish. That's just my perspective though. However, why could this year make sense for Enjin to reach those great heights? It's because even if we take a look at it, historically speaking, altcoins, they usually peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event as a worst case scenario. Now, when did the last Bitcoin halving event happen? Back in April of last year. So 18 months from then is October this year. So again, I think this, if anything, adds more sort of, I would say, commotion, right, to why this could very well be the case in terms of something like Enjin doing very well in 2025. Now, it's going to take some time because, of course, let's say October is still a ways away. Let's say November, December, whatever the case is. And I'm not necessarily saying that this is a surefire date. This is just a prediction. And again, also, it's based off of history. In the other example that I used, history isn't always going to repeat itself. However, it does tend to rhyme. So I think if anything, this does give a good benchmark. Again, could maybe happen a little bit sooner, which would be awesome, by the way. Or maybe a little bit later, which is whatever. I'll accumulate more. But either way, I'm still going to be dollar cost averaging into Enjin. Anytime an income, acquire, hold, and I just wait. And why wouldn't I? According to Crypto.com research, there's over 600 million crypto owners as of right now, more than ever before in history. I think this run could be so amazing. It's just a waiting game at this point. And as Bitcoin reaches the next level in terms of 150,000, 200, and maybe in 250,000, I think the sky's the limit. And again, Enjin at the price of $10 wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. I think it's a must-have for my portfolio, and I really can't wait. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's only the captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace. Bye.